conversation, trust in our judiciary, our justice system, which is why we've invited Advocate Suleiman Bashir to come and talk us through this. Wakili, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Asante sana. Thanks for having me.
And welcome back.
Asante sana. And allow me to give a credit to the three of you, because I think the discussion that happens on this particular platform is always people-centered. And I think that means a lot to Kenyans. And I would say that the show, or this particular conversation that happens here, is not political as such. It transcends different areas, from health to energy to everything. And I think I will say that it's a conversation that's always timeless, and it is so important to the people of Kenya. Keep up the good spirit.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Jackso, ambia Amlioto akate hiyo.
Yeah.
Aweke tu hivyo.
Aweke hivyo.
Yeah.
Just as is. Thank you. It's good to have you back in studio, Suleiman.
Asante sana.
Tuanze tu na quote of the day as always. Janet will share, say if it speaks to you, if it resonates with you. Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah, or not. Yes, there's always that option. Or not.
Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who was a Kenyan playwright and co-author of a very popular play back in the 70s, once said, "A nation that stops questioning begins to rot."
I think I would say that particular quote goes back to the aspect of us appreciating history. It is about appreciating where we have come from, where we are heading to. It's about evaluating where we are as a people. And I think it points to the relevance of our history, even as we try to plan for our future.
Yep.
Yes.
Well said.
A very nice one. A very nice one. Wakili, you operate in the justice sector. You're an officer of the court.
Yes.
That's what you're called, a member of the bar.
Yes.
Sasa, from your days in law school, to Kenya School of Law, to since admission into the bar and practice, what is your perception? Do people trust the justice system? And I'm saying the justice system deliberately.
I'll say that, yes, indeed, Kenyans do have a lot of trust in the justice system. One of the ways that I'm able to tell that is by how many court cases are filed in a day, how many are filed in a week, how many are filed in months. And again, when you look at the judiciary's records, the amount of court cases that are filed by the people of Kenya seems to be increasing by the day. When you again look at what the people of Kenya are questioning, it's also, I think, getting broader in terms of if a bill is passed in parliament, it is challenged in court. If someone's land is grabbed, it's always challenged. If someone's employment is affected. So this tells you that even as we have our own issues within the judiciary, which can still be addressed, I will say that all is not lost in terms of hope for the people, because we do see in terms of the number of consultations they are making to us. 2 weeks ago, I think the LSK had a clinic whereby we were trying to assist the people of Kenya, especially the members of the public, to try and just give them the platform to listen to them, to sort out their problems. And the turnout was massive, and it seemed to be growing by the day. Someone will come to you and tell you, "I've never been to court, I'm scared of even stepping in court." Then you have to take them through the process, tell them that this whole court system that has been set up is for you as a person and as a citizen of this good republic. So the trust is there, the faith is there, and I'll say that we are people that, as a country, who are looking forward to having all the people of Kenya having 100% confidence, which is not there yet in our good judicial system.
Yeah, which is not there yet. Because be that as it may, and given what you've said, even the legal clinics, you tend to hear the same reports with regards to the wheels of justice, right? You'll see delays in procedures, etc. Then you'll hear the judiciary say under-resourcing or political manipulation and involvement. So it almost seems like the same barriers have existed for so long. When do we get to that next threshold where now we can get public trust back up and even representation back up? Some gaps and barriers just seem to persist, and they've persisted for decades. Yeah.
I would say that we'll get to that particular point of perfection once we weed out corruption in the judiciary. That is the biggest problem at the moment. When you look at when the current Chief Justice was even being interviewed by the JSC, at that time she had even stated that the problem affecting us is corruption. Recently we had the president talking about corruption in the judiciary, even used the word juris pesa. You each and every day see parliamentarians in the National Assembly talking about corruption in the judiciary. There was a corruption perception index that was done by the Transparency International, and it placed the judiciary as the highest corruption average as at 18,800. This tells you, when you look at, that means the amount of bribe that is paid within the judiciary, if it's, let's say, 4 million on the maximum side, and the minimum, let's say, is 5,000, the average institution that has earned the highest amount within this particular good republic is the judiciary. This has been stated to be about 18,800. And as an officer of the court, I'm not surprised. It's a reality. Let me point out that as an advocate, when clients call, the first thing they will tell you is, Wakili, I need a court order. They will not tell you, I need to file a court case. Unaambiwa nataka court order. Then the ones who are learned, the clients who are learned, highly educated, will tell you how much would I need to pay to get specific court order X. So, in as much as we are saying that there's a lot of corruption within the judiciary, even the public out there are to blame. When they approach us and tell us, look, counsel, I want you to file a court case, but I want a court order. Tell me the amount and tell me how long it will take. So sometimes you look at his court case, you look at his claim. It is not making any sense. But I assure you, if he walks out and walks into another advocate's chambers with that particular amount, that particular party will get that order that he or she is looking for. So it is a very wide issue. It is not just about the judicial officers, it also goes to the members of the public. And it's a reality. When you see senior counsels talking about corruption within the judiciary, it's a reality. And also on the flip side, when you look at some Kenyans who are dealing in courts fairly, recently I represented a client in court, and I think even this particular station covered. There was this particular gentleman who was awarded 7 million against Nairobi City County for not being interviewed after he was shortlisted. I think that particular story was all over. In that court case we filed, we argued our case, and the court has awarded 7 million payable before January 2026. So, but again, on the other hand, I have a lot of files, even in my own office, whereby I know that this particular court case is running because of the amount that was paid. Not to myself alone, but within the ranks, within the judiciary up there. So it's a very complicated issue that to weed out is possible, but it needs a better strategy than we have at the moment.
Your pesa imeingia, your 7 million.
But in January
2026.
Unajua, December is not a working month. I'm trying to be realistic here. January, revenue collections are low. Revenue collections are low in January. We need to be realistic.
Maybe
here.
Mariam could call out to Nairobi County government.
I know.
Not to wait for January, but to start paying us.
Wanze kidogo. You know, at some point when you talk about jury pesa, I always feel that I'd like the senior counsel who keep talking about jury pesa to actually talk about who are the purveyors of corruption in the judiciary. It's lawyers, like you've just told us. Someone will come to your office, and because you are not a corrupt lawyer, you'll be like, look, there's no case here that would warrant you to go looking for a court order. But there's another lawyer who will say, this one, kitu rahisi. So the agents of corruption in the judiciary are the officers of the court. Lawyers.
No, Eric, I will slightly differ on that.
Of course.
Because if we have good judges in our judiciary, which we do, some are really good. Even as lawyers, we can tell which judge can be approached and who cannot be approached. So if we could have good judicial officers who all cannot be approached, and this will start from the point of recruiting them, how they get recruited, the vetting process that they're subjected to, and the regular scrutiny that is visited upon public officers. If that would have been fairly good, we will not be at a point whereby you would have labeled us as that particular conveyor belt in as far as delivering the goods are.
I completely agree with you.
Yes.
Can I quickly counter?
Yes.
Who hires lawyers? The Judicial Service Commission. Right?
Yes, judges. Judicial officers, yes.
Yes. Judicial officers, right? The magistrates and judges.
Yes.
The Judicial Service Commission. Out of 9, how many are lawyers in that Judicial Service Commission?
Quite a number.
Very good. Who qualifies to be a magistrate or a judge?
An advocate.
Okay. So this person does not become corrupt because they've now become a magistrate. They were corrupt lawyers. And now are we together? So corrupt lawyers are the problem with jury pesa.
You're making a lot of sense, Eric. Look, I'll say that not all lawyers are corrupt. And not all judicial officers are corrupt.
That's true.
I'll tell you why. When you look at the most recent recruitment of the High Court judges, the number of applicants were huge. It is because people are not going for the over 600,000 salary that is paid to High Court judge. The target is beyond that. A private practitioner out here who knows how much is being paying to get a ruling or even a court order. Do you know a court order might go for even about $1 million and $1.5 million? A court order, a temporary one.
Wow.
A ruling can even go to about 3 million.
There's a rate card.
And a judgment can even go to as far as 6 million, 7 million, 8 million. And this particular evaluation is done on the basis of the subject matter in issue. If you're dealing with a construction in Westlands or in Parklands, the judicial officer will ask for a serious amount. And if you want to just get a court order to reinstate someone who is about to be dismissed or to stop a possible dismissal in an employment setting, it will be a bit different. But again, the consideration will be about what is this particular position that you're holding. If you are a CEO, the amount you're going to pay will be a bit high. If you are just a clerk, you will pay a small amount. What I will say is the judiciary, just like the other arms of the government, is fairly to blame. We have the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission that has done the 2024 report. It has placed the judiciary and its officers within the top 5. So it is a reality. We can't run away from it, but we need to address this. When you look at President Mwai Kibaki, when he came into office, around 2000 and a year down the line, about 2 or 3, the radical surgery issue happened. A lot of fear was instilled. But at the moment of late, when you look at what is going on, do we have judges who are being removed on the basis of corruption? If at least we could deal with 1 or 2, 3, the rest will be a bit scared of taking more bribes and doing corrupt practices. But nothing is happening at all. And I think that is what we really need to blame.
I have so many. Let me start with, just anecdotally from what you know, do Kenyans have more trust in civil processes or criminal justice processes?
When you look at both, trust is there, but again, in both, that particular trust can be compromised by all means.
Okay.
In the civil setting, you just deal with the judicial officer and the advocate.
Yeah.
But in the criminal setting, a lot happens within also the prosecutorial agencies because the prosecutor is highly involved, a judicial officer is on the other side, and a counsel will be representing. Only that will be like a tripartite issue. 3 parties have to be involved. Mostly, you'll realize that the issues that happen within the criminal courts is that even a party who is supposed to be convicted for, let's say, sexual offenses, you will find him or her to have been let off the hook. And if you try to think of even appealing against this particular decision, we know the appeals process is fairly cumbersome and quite tiring. But in both, the trust is there and the compromise is there in both criminal and civil courts.
Okay. The National Commission on Administration of Justice released their yearly report, trying to look through some of the things that are good, the green flags and then the red flags. Some things that made me happy, and I please feel free to interject if it's true or not. Yes. A good case clearance rate of 90%. E-filing, of course, that's really big. The new courts we've talked about on this show, so many of them. 27 new small claims court and 57 mobile claims court. Accountability as well. So 93% of complaints are resolved and 97% performance rating across the judiciary. That I found to be a bit high. 97% performance rating, but let me not speak to that. Okay, underfunding. As an advocate, what does underfunding in the judiciary look like to you when you are going through the wheels of justice with a client?
When you look at underfunding, you talk about, we have specialized courts. We have the environmental land court, we have the employment court, we have the ordinary high courts. We are at a point whereby, if you're in Mandera, for example, and you have a land issue, there is no environmental land court in Mandera. You have to file it in Garissa. If the judiciary would have been properly funded, we would be at a point whereby all these particular courts will be in all the 47 counties of our good republic. Right. When you look at the small claims court, and I think I will give a lot of credence to the judiciary in this, because there was a lot of infrastructural achievements in as far as setting these particular courts and the divisions are concerned. A lot of boost, a lot of achievements, but however, on the flip side, when we talk about the question of funding the judiciary, it is Parliament that is supposed to fund it. In January 2024, our Chief Justice visited the President at State House in the wake of a lot of criticism by the President, who blamed the judiciary for stalling good governmental agendas.
Was it Shah rollout at the time? I think it was, yes.
Yes,
the rollout of Shah.
so he really blamed the judiciary. And in the wake of that particular debate is when we realized the CJ visited the president in State House. Then later on, the communique that came out was that out of that particular meeting, there was a resolution to have an increased funding on the part of the judiciary. The question is, should we be having the judiciary's funding increased within the confines of State House, or it should be happening along Harambee Avenue, around Parliament Road? It is Parliament that is supposed to do that particular task. But when you find the CEO of our country, that is the president, and the head of the judicial arm, talking about or discussing in State House and telling Kenyans, look, we are going to increase the judiciary's fundings from the corridors of State House, it's a very worrying issue. It also tells you the aspect of the president being in charge of everything. And also it shows you the quest by the president to be in charge of everything now, including the judiciary. Because slightly the judiciary seemed to be getting out of his own grasp. So he ridicules it, he criticizes it. The former, I think the impeached DP did that quite a while. Then following that particular meeting, and when the CJ submits herself to the president, it means now all the three arms are under his control. And that must not be the issue at all. The law... Yes.
Just to be very clear, and it's something we can see the trends of. Does, is Parliament used, is budget allocation used basically to control the judiciary?
Absolutely. And you know, this particular concern is not just happening in Kenya. It's a serious concern also in Uganda. The Judicial Service Commission of Uganda equally has such a problem. I mean, the judicial arm of Uganda equally has such a problem. Whenever they start to misbehave, pesa inakatwa. The same is happening to Kenya. You see, for the CJ to do a lot, it means she must at least set up a court, let's say an ELC court in Turkana, because the people of Turkana must not be subjected to undue treatment. For her to do that, she needs serious budgeting. Where does the budgeting come from? The parliament. Again, Kenyans recently, for example, had a problem with the computer misuse and cyber crimes law. Where do they challenge it? In the judiciary. What did the court do? The court gives conservatory order suspending specific aspects of that particular law. What do they think? That this particular judiciary needs to be clipped because ni kama imeanza kumea pembe. What should we do? We need to underfund it or cut its funding. Ndio wakuje kwetu watubembeleze. Then we tell them, look, nyinyi pia mkuwe na adabu. I think we must not be in such a country whereby the three arms seem to be punishing each other, and they want to. The only way for them to work is inconveniencing the people of Kenya.
Let's come back after the break. And is there even a way around that, other than challenging and being vigilant? Like, what is
the fix?
What is the fix? How do you go around that? Also, interagency collaboration and CUCs. I don't know much about court, but I feel like court users committee is so essential, but under-supported. And I don't know whether you can speak to that being one of the ways in which the judicial system can work. But it's coming up to 7:30. A few of you have actually sent feedback talking about just your own thoughts on whether or not you can trust the judiciary. So we'll come back and continue the conversation and sample some of your feedback as well.
Hello, I'm Alan Livingstone from Harambee County. I'm a photographer. On my site, I do capture the struggles and the stories of our people. And through photography, we are creating a lifetime memories.
Thank you so much for sending us that WhatsApp Nation video. It's Alistair?
Livingstone. Was it? I know you usually said Livingstone. I think for safety, we go with Livingstone.
Livingstone. Yes. Thank you so much for that, WhatsApp Nation. Livingstone. 0112 500 400 is the number to send your WhatsApp Nation to if you want us to feature you in the next hour, Ama Kesho. Alistair, Livingstone is actually doing it with photography. He's telling stories. Eric Amesama, he's a historian. We'd love to hear from you. How are you doing? What are you doing to fix the nation? You could, for example, say, my name is Suleiman Bashir. My bit in fixing the nation is, of course, representing my clients to the very best of my ability and making sure that the Kenyan laws are followed to the T and that Kenyans also have access to justice by and large. That's my bit in fixing the nation. 0112 500 400.
Well said. We have, I deeply feel the judiciary is not being 100% honest with Kenyans. That's why I strongly don't have faith with this arm of government. That's Will Carson. And then we have Livity saying, in Kenya, why hire a lawyer when you can buy the judge? One day we'll talk about lawyers who don't lose cases courtesy of bench fixing. Mama J agrees with Livity and says, you're so right. Nowadays, we have lawyers becoming billionaires through government deals. Finally, we have Paul Minor, aka Staki Mapepe, saying the judiciary in Kenya is not as independent as it should be because the executive seems to control it directly or through proxy. In small cases, judiciary performs well, but in landmark cases, not. Okay.
If you look at just the ordinary citizen needing justice and seeking justice, I think if I remember correctly, the number of disputes in this country that end up in court is just a proportion of the total number of disputes in the country, okay? So there are various factors that we could say what makes people not go to court. First of all, it could be distance, time taken, and so on, which is why the judiciary has been, needing to expand, like you're saying, Wakili, bring these courts as close to the people as possible. So one of the hindrances could be that. The other one, I think, is just the trust in the system.
Right.
You don't feel you're going to get justice. If you think about very many, and I'm not talking about just judiciary here, I'm saying the justice system. If you think about the very many cases that you'll hear in villages and in rural areas, or just in domestic areas, no, I'm just saying in local areas.
Nyumbani tu.
Mitaani.
Tumekuelewa, yes.
Tumeelewa vinasema. Kwa ground. Vitu kwa ground are, you arrest somebody, you'll see them tomorrow. They are released. Right? You arrest somebody, the case starts, and then this guy wins the case. They come back. So people feel, why should I go through that whole process? Yet this person, I'm not going to get justice. There's a perception issue here that, justice is just, you'll buy justice. Some people will buy justice. Some people will find their way into circumventing justice. So I think when it comes to trust in the judiciary, there are those who may judge the judiciary based on the fact that the police have released people. Here, it's not the judiciary, it's the police. Or the chief. Or the DPP did not find sufficient evidence to take this case to court, so it's the police and the DPP. Other players in the judiciary who have done it. Or others, it's the lawyer who went and the lawyer was just not bothered with this case, so they didn't put their best foot forward in their client's opinion to win a case. So they just feel, I don't trust the judiciary. It's these other players who have things to do.
Yes.
You're right.
Oh, yeah, because it's a whole ecosystem. It's the way we were saying, everything that you've said, the police, the lawyer, all of that chain of justice.
You're right.
And oftentimes, I think, it can start with the police. I think a lot of the time, that's where the first bit of trust being broken starts. But you're absolutely right. So I don't know what we can do to build public trust.
We wanted to do the fix, but I feel like we should.
That's why we have NCAJ.
And it's established by the Constitution that this council that brings together all justice sector actors, it brings in the advocates, it brings in the police, the prisons, it brings the prosecutor, it brings the judiciary, and also it now starts having those other committees. And that's where the court users committees come in. The court users committees are the users of that particular court station. Okay? So who are the users around here? It brings in the community people into the court users committee. If the NCAJ does not actually work at ensuring everybody here does everything to build trust in the system, then we'll always be judging the judge.
That's very true.
Well said.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, that the concept of CUC, the Court Users Committee, is a very important issue. What CUC is about is, let's say there's a court in Mombasa. That court, let's say, will organize for a meeting in this December, let's say on the 17th, on a specific date. Those who will be attending that particular meeting will be, for example, the advocates who practice in that court, the activists who are around there, the clerical leaders, any people, most of the members of the public, especially those who are who understand the judicial setting, and also the judicial officers. So a meeting is held. What will be discussed is there a problem? Is there any concern that you have? Unaweza inua mkono useme, this court, instead of starting at 9, huwa inaanza at 10. Unaweza inua mkono useme, the court link, of late we use the Teams link, which is actually a very big achievement for us as a people, because you don't need to travel all the way from Nakuru to come to Nairobi to attend court. So if there's a problem with the link, you need to raise it. When you try to join that particular court and you're not admitted, you're always kept in the lobby, it is a very important platform for you to raise it up. So the Court Users Committee is a very critical meeting. It's a very critical issue whose meeting the people must understand and must follow it up, so that if there are specific concerns, you raise it up. The head of the station, every judicial setting has a specific head of station. If you have a problem with this particular, let's say the magistrates, you can raise it up with the head of station. If an advocate has a problem in as far as corruption is concerned, other than just filing complaints with either the judicial ombudsman or the JSC, that is also the point to raise up your hand and also contribute or raise a particular point. The essence is, when we amplify our voices in as far as those particular problems are concerned, this judicial officer, this police officer, this prosecutor would be scared of misbehaving in the court setting or the court systems. I can tell you, one thing that has worked for us is here in Milimani. There was a magistrate who used to start court around 10, 11. The issue was raised in the Court Users Committee. Of late, by 8:50, the platform is open and you can join the court. Secondly, the members of the public also have some problem in as far as, for example, accessing the online system is concerned, and we do understand the issue. For example, they go to the judiciary's course list. You will find the system being down. The whole thing is not working out. This member of the public would have a problem joining that particular court. Let's say he or she does not have an advocate representing them. Their matter will be called out in the absence, and it will risk being dismissed for want of prosecution, because for failure to attend to your matter is a grave concern that the courts will deal with. But the party that should ensure that these infrastructural ICT issues work out is the upper judiciary. It is the one that is seeking for proper funding. Sometimes they will tell you, look, we're having a problem with our service provider. That is why we're having the systems as always being low. At times you want to join court at exactly 9. You try to log in, that particular thing is not working out. But I'll say this, because this particular angle, this discussion is called Fixing the Nation, which means we continue fixing the problems in our country even as the time goes by. So that the essence of this conversation is, at some point we should have a near perfect
we
country.
should have made. Before we continue, and just before I forget, just still on CUCs, do you think that's a strong missing link in terms of raising, I mean, you've alluded to it, they're able to speak to certain issues, but especially I think the time I started to hear the importance of what a Court Users Committee can do was a conversation around gender-based violence. It was a human rights cafe, so every player was there, including community. It was a very big group of people, but what came out, and I don't know whether I'm amplifying it wrong, is that supporting and amplifying and strengthening the CUCs could be a huge leap in strengthening the judiciary, in a sense. Is that an exaggeration, or is there a case to be made for example, what more support the CUCs need?
I think it's really, really a very critical platform. If we strengthen it, if we ensure that these particular meetings don't happen in 3-4 months, that they should happen at least in every 2 to 3 weeks, it will give the people to speak about their problems. Remember, this is the only platform that brings together the members of the public, the advocates, the prosecution side, the investigating side, and the members of the judicial officers all on one table. Hapo ndio wanaulizana, je, kuna shida mahali? Now remember, this is not just Kenyan, the national issue problem as such, no. If you are in Kilifi, that particular setting, the court setting and its key players are all there. Mnaulizana, kuna shida mahali. Mnaulizana, is there a magistrate who is misbehaving with the public? Is there someone who is being very disrespectful to the mothers who are lactating, who are having babies in court? When a baby cries in court, that particular mother is supposed to, ideally on humane grounds, be called out and be asked, which is your matter, so that it is prioritized. So these are issues, ni vitu za jamii. So that we are looking at it in a sense that kule kijijini, the people must understand that this platform is afforded to them, angalau waweze kuulizana shida ziko wapi. But the challenge is one. The only time you will realize these people getting to know a CUC meeting, you will realize that they might not be in the know. It is shared in platforms and WhatsApp groups whereby advocates and prosecutors and specific elites are there. So not everyone will have the opportunity of knowing, unless wewe uende kotini, ulizane, ufuatilie, ulize meeting ya next time itakuwa lini.
Ama ulize hata nikitaka raise complaint naenda wapi, and then you'll be told.
Yes. So si unakuja pale, unasema ya kwamba I'm person X, I have filed this court case, my file has been missing. You know, sometimes there are stolen files, your file gets stolen, it gets misplaced. You don't find your court case listed. At times you realize that my file was not listed last week and it doesn't have another date. You don't know where to start from. Na umeenda kwa registry, umeshindwa kusaidika. This is where you come back to. Na useme, nimeenda registry, wale clerks pale umenitisha pesa, and I don't have money, and I need this issue addressed. Sometimes, let me tell you, in Kenya, when we speak out, problems are addressed. If President Ruto comes today to Nation and people talk to him and tell him, look, Mr. President, there are these problems that we are facing, which he might know at the time. He would have no otherwise but to address them. That's, I think, what I've seen yesterday in Makueni. I saw an MCA, amechukua microphone. He raised a few issues in front of the president, and the president promised him. So when we look at the essence of accountability, there are simple efforts and simple things we can do to even perfect the judicial setting.
Before we get into the fix, quick one. As much as there's, I don't know what to call it, the traditional justice system, there's been other, not alternative justice, anyway, mediation, arbitration, etc. In your honest review, are those helping with the administration of justice? Are they making things easier or harder?
Or more complicated?
And do they have the same issues that plague the e-justice system in Guinness? I don't know what to call it, but you understand what I mean. Yes.
The essence of appreciating the alternative justice systems is actually emanates from the Constitution. The Constitution is the one that has provided for not just a court systemed process, rather to give the people at least an opportunity. Kama tunazozana kuhusu mambo na mashamba, we're expected to sit down and discuss a few things here and there. Iwapo hiyo inakuwa shida, at least we can escalate it to the next level. The essence is not to create a lot of animosity, and for you not to spend so much money in courts. For you to file a court case in the Environment and Land Court as an urgent application, you might be charged around 9,000, and that's a fair amount of money that not all the people might have.
Now, mediation, how much?
It's fairly expensive process. The mediator will give you his own charges. The arbitrator is the most expensive thing. Also, the arbitrator will give you his own quotation. So, in as far as that particular process is concerned, negotiation between the parties seems to work sometimes. But mediation and arbitration are highly encouraged, and you can source for a reasonable arbitrator who you can afford, who you can sit down with. And the most important bit of this is, by the time hiyo mambo inaisha, hakutakuwa na a party ambaye atakuwa na hasira. Inakuwa ni jambo ambalo Wakenya wamelikalia na wakaamua kuisort out on the table. You are heard, this party is heard, you all heard, then someone who is not a judicial officer, who you regard as a third party, who is there to address your problems, will preside over your issue na anasema nimemaliza kwa njia hii. So it fairly works out. And if a party is disgruntled with that outcome, they can move to the High Court to challenge it. Then at the High Court, what I think Kenyans must also understand is sometimes mtu akona issue ya shamba. It's really important that the people must understand that where you're supposed to take that particular claim is the Environment and Land Court. If you have an employment-related issue, you take it to the Employment and Labor Relations Court. And if it is, let's say, a constitutional issue, for example, unaona ya kwamba you were harassed by a police officer, you go and challenge that at the High Court. So, pia, the essence of us educating the masses, the members of the public, is what also the judiciary must give some effort. If they need some better funding, they also must take information and civic education down to the grassroots. Ndio waelezwe people, waeleze wa Kenya ya kwamba kuna njia hizi kadhaa ambayo mnaweza fuata, because the risk is, Mariam, someone can file a court case in the wrong court, it risks dismissal with costs. You will have wasted your time. Na wewe bila kuelewa unaweza sema huyu jaji amenunuliwa, and maybe on the basis of technicalities you are just
in the wrong place.
You are in the wrong place.
Okay. I was also going to ask, the alternative justice systems, are they plagued by these same issues? Whether it's the underfunding, whether it's the corruption. of course kutakuwa nayo kidogo, but is it at the same scale as the traditional justice pipeline?
It is what we are trying to appreciate more and more, because the main reason why people are recommended to go for this particular alternative process is that the timing is shorter. You will not need to come to court and you are given a hearing date next year, June 2027 or 2026. Rather, mnakutana, the mediator comes there, gives you a date in next week, and the matter is finished fairly fast. However, it is a bit expensive. It's an expert on mediation issues that will be presiding over your matters at the parties' costs. So it is a fairly expensive process. Then on the other side, recently, the courts also seem to be creating what is called the quote-unquote the old Somalian system called the Maslah, whereby elders preside over matters. The CJ was in Garissa, she created that particular system. Elders committee was created. So sometimes issues that are affecting specific community members who might not even appreciate the language will feel more comfortable attending or appearing before fair number of elders. They share their fair problems of concern. They are heard and a determination is made. And the beauty about this is, if you are unhappy with this particular process, you can still challenge it in court. So the essence is language issue, time, resource, and also the essence of you feeling that, well, nimekaa chini, kama imeamuliwa hivi, hautakuwa na hasira. Na hautakuwa na shaka ya kusema kama kuna police officer ama kuna judge mwenye let's say he was bribed or
was compromised.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's a beautiful process. I remember Professor Joel Ngoge is the one in charge of this. He's a champion for alternative justice system. And those ones come, let's sit. It's the wazers and they're sitting here and you all understand. And these are respected in the community. So everybody who's here respects the authority of these people who are here. But if at some point you feel like you don't want to respect them, unaweza peleka mbele.
And now they are coming from that particular community.
Yes.
If you are from, let's say, Marsabit, the elders who will be attending to you are respected elders from that particular locality. And it gives you some form of satisfaction. When you are an elder, let's say, or even an educated fellow, who is coming from back there, who is appearing before them, and the decision that they're going to make, it looks, I think, fairly, there's a high chance of you being comfortable with it. And I'm sure mostly they try to make decisions in a way that will sort out the problems between both parties. A compromise, sort of, a 50-50 position, so that the aspect of animosity is weeded out.
I was going to ask, though, anecdotally, whether sometimes biases exist, but I know you've answered sometimes they try to. But I would fear that sometimes in certain cases there would be biases, which is just human nature.
And I think it's intrinsically built in a way to deal with those biases. Because it's more than one person. So if it's a council of elders
who are respected,
and they're respected, so there's even they will know that this community will be judging us from what we say and what we do. Right?
But of course, maybe there's issues that you just don't take also to.
Alternative
issues
If people know that, again, I don't know that people know that there's cases.
The catch there is, if there are criminal issues, they should be fairly careful not to appreciate such cases. If there's a sexual offense matter, whereby, let's say, a minor is a victim, the complainant is that particular minor who might have been sexually harassed. We expect the courts, the police, and the judiciary to be serious on such an issue. So mostly, these particular processes, the way we're looking at it is a problem between persons, civil issues, civil-related matters. Mambo ambayo niko na shida na Eric ako na shida na mimi. Na tuseme niko Mutomo, somewhere in Kitui. Amakamba, I don't understand Swahili or English. When I come to court, you'll hear a magistrate saying, mention next, labda hata hujasikia vizuri. But here you'll have a better platform of sharing your problems. If a specific position is reached and it is in writing, you can even use it for the next course of action. Yes, whether you challenge it or you want it to be upheld.
I know we're coming to a fix. There was also the monitoring, evaluation, and learnings framework, one of the things that I've also heard come up time and time again is issues to do with centralized platform, harmonizing indicators. I remember, again, if I'm going back to gender-based violence, there's been a huge gap in trying to centralize information so that it's easier for all of the players in the justice system to address the matters. And that still seems to have gaps. So for example, I think I was part of, I attended a launch where they were trying to harmonize a system that had, for example, sex offenders, right? And so the police had a role to play in it, lawyers had a role to play in it, but there seemed to be almost like a push against a harmonized. So that's a bit disturbing, and I wonder whether, obviously, that's got to do with corruption, or whether people felt like, I don't want to look like someone who's dropped the ball. If you have 57 and I have 3 in comparison, and I'm only feeding in 3, then it makes me look bad. Long story short, I don't know that it's even taken off, which I think is a huge gap in the push for justice. So talk to us about some of those learnings.
You see, the objective of even setting up the NCIJ was to bring in specific players. All the players on one table, at least maramara waweze kulizana, what should we do in addressing this particular problem. But in our country, we realize in 2024, when the EACC makes public a specific report, and let's say it enlists, let's say, the police and the judiciary as top 5 corrupt zones, the judicial players take it unfairly. They think ni kama hapa wamekosewa. The police equally will feel bad about it. Transparency International comes in, gives us the corruption perception index. The reason as to why we are being fed with this is not to antagonize anyone. It is for you to be given the data, and if you are the CJ or the DCJ or the head of a station in a specific judicial setting, wondering what can I do to address this particular problem. You see, Janet and the team here, we must know that in as far as we are saying, and we're all in agreement, that the biggest problem in the judicial process is corruption. The whole country's problem is corruption. From the president to the lowest person.
That's true.
Honestly, when you look at factors and all figures, I would say today that one of the most corrupt people in our country might be our president, unfortunately. One of the most corrupt people in our country might be the speakers of the houses. The most corrupt people might be the chairpersons of the departmental committees of the parliament. And the most corrupt people might be the judges, Court of Appeal judges, and Supreme Court judges. You will find Kenyans lodging complaints with the Judicial Service Commission to complain about Supreme Court judges, only for 8 petitions to be filed in 8 different courts, stopping the JSC from commencing investigations into these particular complaints. So you ask yourself, where are we headed to?
Who is filing the petition?
The judges themselves. They are filing the complaints against the Judicial Service Commission. Let's say, so they are stopping what? The JSC from initiating any investigations against them. Who is giving them the orders? A judge of the High Court, who is their junior. Remember, these are the Supreme Court judges.
Oh my God.
And who is the Supreme? One of them is the chairperson of the JSC, being the CJ of our country. So the DCJ is also. So sometimes when you look at the whole thing, tumejipata katika hali ambapo we must survive by corruption, by the way. If today I want to, let's say, if I have a genuine concern and I file a complaint against a CEO X, if I don't have money, the chances of my case finding its way through the light is very minimal, kama sina pesa. But iwapo I have blessings, ya pesa, na maybe power up there, the chances of me succeeding in this might be high. So in short, in as much as the judicial process has its fair share of problems, it is the only arm so far that is standing the pressure of the executive, because the legislature is gone. So itabidi, as Kenyans, we must do all means and everything possible. We protect it. Secondly, we are approaching an election. 2027 is our electioneering period. And the chances of us having a presidential petition before the Supreme Court is very high. Whoever will be disgruntled atakuja kotini, and he or she will file a complaint with before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is going to make a decision. Do you know what is going to happen? These particular stories about who is corrupt in the Supreme Court is going to be revisited, and it's going to be abused by that person in feeding the masses or the people of Kenya about
these are corrupt judges. They ruled against me, and you all know I won this election.
So confidence is really important for us. And again, when you look at Kenya, I think our good government has tried. A judge in our country is paid over 600,000, while a High Court judge in Uganda is paid 320,000, about 9 million Uganda shillings. When you look at the figures, a High Court judge in our good republic is paid twice as much as a judge in Uganda is paid. So the essence of also paying this this kind of people is to at least appreciate them fairly, to remunerate them reasonably, so that they are a bit comfortable. At least they're able to undertake and discharge their mandate fairly and sufficiently without looking for something else. However, For us, you pay money, you want more money. We appreciate you with salary, you want more money outside beyond your salary. You find a lawyer doing well out there, making 400,000, thereabout 500, 600,000, but that person is still applying for the position of a judge. Yet out here I'm making
more
similar income or slightly more than what a judge is making, because I know if I have presented about 2 million, 3 million, 4 or 5 times a month, this man is pocketing about 4 million. I think we need to even tax it.
Yeah.
If the KRA would have legalized corruption and would have taxed the proceeds of corruption, you know, would have made some good income, honestly speaking. So, in short, what I'm saying is...
Shika Mike, we've
we
talked
do need
about
to
it.
wind up. Wakili.
Kupatia mic,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
to
yeah.
fight corruption in the
Yes.
judiciary.
No, Eric hapo ataanza kusema ni
Mimi
mawakili
najua.
ndio corrupt. Ataanza na mimi.
Not you. My fight on corruption in the judiciary is on the corruption's doorstep, but also on the Law Society of Kenya. I'll end it at that.
We'll leave it at that. There was a few other questions.